Broadcasting from beautiful downtown Tallahassee, it's Nantan Lupan at the Drive-In.
Welcome to episode 17. Today's subject is the 1975 movie Hard Times, following on the Struthers-Martin line. Hard Time features Charles Bronson as Cheney, a tough-as-nails fighter with no background and very few words. In this entire movie, Bronson only spoke about 500 words. Bronson was around 53 when he took this role. The producers wanted a younger man, and Jan Michael Vincent was considered. However, Bronson was perfect for the role and was in great shape. Bronson was born in Pennsylvania to Lithuanian parents. As a result of his upbringing, he could speak several languages fluently. He also worked in the coal mines, where he was in a tunnel collapse, resulting in a lifelong fear of closed-in spaces. This fear and his languages were integrated into his roles in The Great Escape 1963 and The Dirty Dozen 1967. In 1943, Bronson joined the U.S. Army Air Corps as an aerial gunner. He flew 25 combat missions before attending college on the GI Bill, where he studied art. He was recommended to a director by one of his art professors and debuted in You're in the Navy Now, 1951. Until the early 60s, he was given a lot of roles where he could show off his muscles by going shirtless. His big break came when he was cast as a half-Mexican, half-Irish gunfighter, Bernardo O'Reilly, in The Magnificent Seven, 1960. This was followed by the role of Danny Valinsky, a tunnel rat in the star-studded The Great Escape, 1963. To fill out the decade, he was cast in another star-packed World War II movie, The Dirty Dozen, 1967. Through the late 1960s and the early 70s, he was cast in several westerns followed by diverse roles such as gangsters or hitmen. His roles continued with tough guy films such as Mr. Majestic 1974 and Death Wish 1974 and its four sequels. He made films through the 80s, often paired with his wife Jill Ireland, but basically playing the same character. He died in 2003. James Coburn played the role of Speed, a low-rent hustler with a passion for wrecking a good thing. Coburn was a beanpole with a large grin that you could never tell if he was grinning with you or about you. After some New York stage work, Coburn was cast in The Magnificent Seven, 1960, and The Great Escape, 1963, both with Bronson. Coburn found regular work through the 60s and 70s in movies such as the World War II comedy The Americanization of Emily, 1964, Sam Peckinpah's Major Dundee, 1965, and a Bond spoof in Our Man Flint, 1966. He also became a friend and student of Bruce Lee during this period. As a result of an illness, he was out of films until the late 90s. He made films until his death in 2002. Struthers-Martin was cast as Poe, the opium-addicted cornerman working for Speed and Cheney. You remember him.
Don't you ever talk that way to me. Never! Never! What we've got here is failure to communicate. Some men you just can't reach. So you get what we had here last week, which is the way he wants it. Well, he gets it. And I don't like it any more than you, man.
While famous for that line and many others, he was a springboard champion, taught swimming in the Navy during World War II, and missed the 1948 Olympic team by one place. He moved to Hollywood, and among other things, he was a swimming instructor to Charlie Chaplin's children. After meeting Sam Peckinpah, he began to get roles like Cool Hand Luke, 1967, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, 1969, Slapshot, 1977, and The Wild Bunch, 1969. This may be his best performance in any film. Jill Ireland was cast in the role of Lucy Simpson, a part-time hooker with a husband in jail. She was the love interest of Cheney. At the time, she was Bronson's real-life wife and was stiff as a board in this role. She weakened the film with her deadpan delivery. We'd all have been better off if she had remained a bit player. Oh, it never hurts to marry well. Margaret Bly was cast as Galen Schoonover, the long-suffering love interest of Speed. Bly had a lot of screen time in this movie and played her part well. She was never a big star, but she has remained active in movies and in television. Michael McGuire was Gandil, a well-to-do fish/oyster distributor that controlled the best street fighter in New Orleans. McGuire played the heavy in this film, but he was primarily a television actor and was often seen in comedy roles. Bruce Glover played Dottie, a hardened gangster and loan shark. Before acting, he was a semi-pro football player and served in the Korean War. He specialized in playing tough guys and is perhaps best known as the father of Crispin Glover. Robert Tessier played the role of Jim Henry, the New Orleans champ, until Cheney arrived. Tessier was of Native American descent. He served in the Korean War and won a Silver Star and a Purple Heart as a paratrooper. Tessier had a tough look, and he used it to get movie roles. His first movie role came in The Born Losers, 1967, where the character Billy Jack first appeared. He worked these tough thug roles on television and on the big screen. He also worked as a stunt performer. He died young at the age of 56 in 1990. Nick Dimitri was cast as Street, the Chicago fighting champion that was brought down by Gandil to set Cheney straight. Dimitri was more of a stunt man than an actor, and he seemed a little old for the part he played. Frank McRae played Hammerman. He was named this because he hit Speed's car with a sledge. McRae was a former NFL player, and his build reflected this prior work. Like Tessier, he got roles for his looks and had over 40 film appearances. He did have a range, and you may remember him as a security guard at Wally World with John Candy.
This is our first gun.
No, it isn't.
What's going on here?
You, freeze! Sit, come on. Lie down. Let's go, lie down. Roll over. Stay. Okay, let's ride, come on. Stay.
Hello, Mr. Wally. Mr. Wally, he treated me like a dog, Mr. Wally. He humiliated my human decency.
What did he do with your dog?
Finally, I want to mention the Greater Liberty Baptist Church choir and congregation who performed a moving gospel number during the church scene. Story. Cheney, Charles Bronson, rolls into some town in a boxcar. Signs of the Great Depression are seen everywhere. While eating at a street stand, something that I've only seen in Mexico before food trucks came into vogue, he sees a lot of cars and men at a warehouse and goes in to find an unsanctioned bare-knuckle fight taking place. Speed, James Coburn, bets on his fighter and quickly loses all his stake as the fighter is easily put down. Speed goes to eat oysters in what I believe is the Pearl Restaurant, which is located in New Orleans. But they travel by train to New Orleans later in the film, so go figure where they were supposed to be at. Cheney asks Speed to set up a fight and offers to bet his own money as well. Speed gets the fight set and Cheney wins with a single punch. Speed sees a new meal ticket and the duo travel to New Orleans from wherever they were. Cheney gets a room and a cat, which is an odd thing for a drifter. He later meets Lucy Simpson, Jill Ireland. They start seeing each other in the adult way. Speed goes to a Pentecostal church where Poe, Strother Martin, is worshiping.
What are you doing back there?
I've always been a student of comparative religion. The Pentecostals present a number of points of interest.
Speed and Poe meet Cheney in one of the above-ground cemeteries and work out their deal. Cheney accepts Poe as a cut man, although he is an addict and a medical school dropout.
Cheney, won't you meet my old friend Poe? Fix up your cuts, bruises, all sorts of good things.
I have 2 years of medical school to recommend me.
2 years doesn't make a doctor.
While in my 3rd year of studies, a small black cloud appeared on campus. I left under it.
What he's trying to say is that he's a dyed-in-wool hophead.
I have a weakness for opium.
It's a habit that's hard to quit.
Some are born to fail, others have it thrust upon them.
Speed takes Cheney to see the city champion, Jim Henry, played by Robert Tessier, fight. The standard bet to fight the champ is $1,000. Speed goes to the local mobster Dottie, Bruce Glover, for the loan of a G at the rate of $50 a day. Speed then goes to the seafood merchant Chick Gandil, Michael McGuire, the manager of Jim Henry, and shows a flaw in his character by tricking Gandil into a 3-to-1 bet. Gandil raises the minimum bet to $3,000. Since Speed is badly in need of money, he sets up a fight with some Cajuns, but when Cheney easily wins, the locals refuse to pay. They run Cheney and his group off.
You give us our goddamn money now. You want that money? Take it.
Somebody always shows up with a gun.
Goddamn sack of country shit.
Steady on, Speed. These boys are not refined.
I think you folks better get in your car and just drive right on home.
I think that's pretty good advice.
Now, as the man makes some sense.
You ain't gonna pay.
Just okay, we're not gonna do nothing. Listen, goddammit. Next time I come back to this coon-ass place, I'm gonna bring a gun. Well, you do that. Make sure it's a great big one. Now, get on out.
Cheney and his friends wait a few hours and surprise the locals and reclaim their winnings. With the $3K in hand, the fight is set up. Having seen Jim Henry fight, Cheney has his timing down and beats him in fairly easy fashion. Cheney, Speed, and Poe, along with Lucy, Gayleen Schoonover, Margaret Bly, and another woman go to a nightclub to celebrate. True to form, Speed gets into a dice game and blows all his money before he pays the mobsters back. Gandil offers to buy a share of Cheney. Speed is all for it, but Cheney refuses. Speed and Cheney get into a fight, and Cheney quits. It is implied that Gayleen has left Speed after the dice game, and Lucy also leaves Cheney, saying she has found a steady man to take care of her. Gandil pays Speed's vig to the mobsters for a week, and brings in the top fighter from Chicago by the name of Street, Nick Dimitri. Street tries to draw Cheney into a fight, but Cheney refuses.
There's no point in avoiding this thing, you know, it's gonna happen.
He's right.
You want it that much?
I'm getting paid. I can always reach over and start things right now.
Yeah, but you won't.
You don't think so?
You're not gonna do it for free.
Gandil has his men take Speed hostage. If Cheney will not fight, Speed will be killed for his debts. Poe goes to Cheney and tells him that Speed needs help and that he must fight. Cheney packs and leaves his apartment, and you hear the cat meow. It seems he is leaving the cat behind. Cheney comes to Gandil's oyster warehouse for the fight. He has to place all of his money into the bet as well. Street is the first real opponent Cheney has fought. They take turns knocking each other down, and at one point, Street lands in a pile of oysters. Ouch! Eventually, Cheney's superior skills come through, and he knocks Street to the ground. Jim Henry and Gandil try to give him iron bars to strengthen his punch. A roll of nickels in each hand always worked for us. Street brushes the weapons away and loses the fight with honor. Speed is released from his debt to the mob.
Well, you know, chick, like old mama said, next best thing to playing and winning is playing and losing.
Cheney has a giant pile of money, and Gandil has been bested. Speed and Poe take Cheney to the rail yard, so now as a relatively rich man he can hop a freight train like a hobo. Cheney gives a large share of the money to Speed and a smaller share to Poe. He tells Poe to go and take care of his cat. As Cheney walks away into the darkness, they comment on how amazing he was. Speed wants to go to Miami and get a fresh start. Poe is only concerned with the cat.
Oh, he sure was something.
Let's go get the cat.
Thoughts? I have seen this movie many times, including during its original theatrical release, but this viewing gave me an odd idea. Is Cheney God? He made Lucy find a full-time man. He got Gayleen away from the bad influence of Speed. He humbled Gandil. He allowed Street to lose with dignity, and he gave Speed a fresh start. But what really got me was the part with Poe. We first meet Poe in a church. When Cheney first learns of Poe's addiction, it's in a cemetery, a place of death. Cheney comments that it is a hard habit to quit. When he gave Poe the cat, did Poe now have something to care about more than smack? Did Cheney appear and set everything right before he left again? World-famous summary. Bronson and Company show just a few of the ways you can lose all of your money in New Orleans. Thanks for listening today, and keep those iTunes reviews coming in. I really appreciate it. Drop by my site at snarkymoviereviews.com if you want to find my Twitter handle, my Facebook, and all the other social media stuff.